downloading documents and simply filling them out is really a recipe for disaster because if they are not properly done, if they don't go right, there isn't a way to fix it after the fact. I have had clients who I represented years ago, or the children of clients I represented and drafted
Mhm.
documents for many years ago, and call me up and say, Mom and Dad moved twice since they met with you, and now mom's in a facility and we can't find original documents, but we need an original to sell the house. I can make it happen that a copy is accepted as much as an
Right,
original would.
right.
Whereas if you've downloaded a form and you've signed it yourself, there isn't any way legally that I know of where we can get copies accepted if nobody has a copy of that and can't attest to the fact that this copy is identical to someone's original document.
Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And we are so pleased to have had Legacy Estate Planning be our elder law and estate planning attorney experts for the last 7-8 months. And this is like our finale in our series. And I am here with Andrea Lee, who is an estate planning and elder law attorney for Legacy Estate Planning. And Andrea, I am really excited about kind of our finale episode because I think there's been so much information that has come forward. And, I talk to families every single day that are upside down in their emotions in all kinds of different scenarios as they're trying to plan. There's difficulties in families. There can be angst with a million things. And I think about this. I think a lot of families don't necessarily understand really why, the big why does a senior or a planning person that's going to download a document off the internet, what does a difference? What does it mean to have an estate planning or elder law attorney?
That's such a loaded question, but it's such a great question. I people ask me that frequently. Hey, why can't I just download these documents online
Mhm.
versus retaining an attorney to draft those documents?
Mhm.
And really, the role of an attorney, especially an estate planning or elder law attorney, goes so far beyond just the preparation of legal
Mhm.
documents.
Mhm.
Number one, it's extremely important when you're preparing estate planning documents to ensure they're exactly properly done.
Mhm.
Laws are constantly changing with regards to everything, quite honestly, but even estate planning. And unfortunately, if someone downloads a form and it's not in tune with the existing laws, it's not going to achieve their goals, number one.
Right.
And
Right.
number two, especially in the area of estate planning, if those documents aren't properly done, then there might be no point in having them. And that's because if an individual signs, say, a power of attorney document, and it's not enforceable or doesn't give the right powers, it doesn't give the right date of being effective. If there are problems with it, then the individual who signed that usually has become incapacitated when somebody else is trying to use that document. So
Right.
there's no cure for that. So downloading documents and simply filling them out is really a recipe for disaster because if they are not properly done, if they don't go right, there isn't a way to fix it after the fact.
Right. Good point. And obviously, um, there's things you don't think of. I know when we first did something like this, there were things I didn't think about. When I was thinking things through, I didn't have somebody say, "Well, what about this? What about that?" Now, that's the interesting part because there's a lot of people that think, "Oh, I don't remember." You know, I know with my father, he'd bought a gravesite
Mhm.
for his second or his wife after my mother who died of cancer, and he bought a plot next to her. Well, then he got remarried.
Mm.
And so but he didn't list it as part of his trust.
Yeah. There's a lot of problems like that can arise, and part of that attorney's duty is to help people anticipate the unanticipated.
Hmm.
I meet with my clients and I always say to them, it's my job to think of the worst things that can happen and then to mitigate it.
Right.
So it's saying, well, what about A? What about B? What if this happens? What if unfortunately your entire family is wiped out in a earthquake? Just these crazy things that can
Exactly.
happen. And then how can we prepare a plan that would still work?
Yeah, yeah. And you think about that because obviously there's all kinds of things that the general public doesn't even think about. We don't think about, what if there was an earthquake and the house came tumbling down, I mean, we've seen tragedies as recently as the fires in Southern California. Where people have lost homes, they've lost everything. And those things happen.
Absolutely. And that's actually another compelling reason to retain an attorney to draft documents. Um, there's a lot that goes into it, but one of them is on a number of occasions, I have had clients who I represented years ago, or the children of clients I represented and drafted
Mhm.
documents for many years ago, and call me up and say, Mom and Dad moved twice since they met with you, and now mom's in a facility, and we can't find original documents, but we need an original to sell the house.
Yeah,
And there are laws that state, hey, if I'm the attorney who drafted a document, if I'm the individual, if I'm familiar with a notary, then I can make it happen that a copy is accepted as much of as an
right,
original would.
right.
Whereas if you've downloaded a form and you've signed it yourself, there isn't any way legally that I know of where we can get copies accepted if nobody has a copy of that and can't attest to the fact that this copy is identical to someone's original document.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I remember, there's various scenarios where, you know, we can get caught up in various aspects of life, and we forget like what was going supposed to happen here or there, and then we respond emotionally from different scenarios. So to have everything in writing, to understand that there's a process and that everybody's on the same page, I think one of the things that's really important, I know with my family, dirty laundry here, but my former sister-in-law was originally my mother's financial power of attorney.
Hmm.
While she was financial power of attorney, she divorced my brother. And my brother, she wanted to hide the money that she got in the sale of the house from him so he couldn't take it. So she put all this money in my mother's bank account.
Wow.
And then she
That's a
trans
violation of fiduciary duties.
and then what happened was we're trying to qualify her for Medicaid. They do a 5-6 year look
Mhm.
back, right? And they go, where did all the money go? Well, she pulled it all back out because she started a new bank account. Well, that was a paper trail. We had to retain an attorney. We had to go in and basically get a attorney that would do a declaration to explain what she did. And those are the things that when we look at, what a nightmare it was to get
Mm.
my mother qualified for Medicaid. And I remember putting it all on my back. I wasn't even the power of attorney at the time, because we had to actually revoke it from her. That was part of one of the reasons why. But one of the things that was interesting about it is that I had to do every document and that was over $250 to show Medicaid. And I went to a hearing and I had to, as her daughter, advocate for her. And
Right.
luckily, I was intelligent enough to answer those kind of questions and have that kind of authority. But it was very expensive on our side. It cost
Mhm.
thousands of dollars to get out of our pockets to get my mother qualified for Medicaid because, again, the power of attorney did not act responsibly.
Right. And I think it's everybody's hope that their agent who they select and name in their
Yeah,
documents advocate properly for the principal. So
right.
when I sign that healthcare power of attorney, when I sign that power of attorney, that financial power of attorney, whatever documents that I execute, the hope is always that the agent I've named properly advocate for me.
Yeah.
But the reality is, so many agents lack the education, they lack the experience, they lack the knowledge to truly be a fantastic advocate for their loved ones who've
Mm-hmm.
named them. And it's not because, I mean, it sounds like your former sister-in-law was a little nefarious in her actions, which is a different story. Sometimes people are bad actors, but sometimes it's not. They're good people. They're intelligent. They're hardworking. It's just they lack experience and they lack
Right.
knowledge.
And she did not have the proper skill set, nor
Mhm.
did she have the ability to, or the wherewithal to learn what her
Mhm.
responsibilities actually were. Unfortunately, all of those things, transpired, and we were left with having to clean up a mess. But I just remember what a nightmare it was to try to get her qualified for Medicaid. It was just overwhelming. And she was in a senior living community that was like sitting back waiting.
Mhm.
And so that caused a challenge as well.
And the reality is, hopefully, individuals draft well-drafted power of attorney documents, wills, healthcare powers of attorneys, the whole shebang, name good choices for agents, such as yourself. But then beyond that, there are
Mhm.
actually a lot of resources out there available to agents as they're navigating that role.
Right,
I
right.
visited your website, and there are a number of resources there that intelligent, well-educated agents can tap into. They could say,
Absolutely.
geez, I need help finding appropriate care for mom. Let me see if I can hire a geriatric care manager to help me out. I need to find housing. Is there a professional who can help me navigate the housing decision?
Hmm.
Um, I need my mom, we found this fantastic organization of nurse practitioners whose sole practice, it's a group, they only care for individuals in adult family homes. They do house calls, regular house calls, and it was such a blessing to us to have that organization available to us as a family as we were navigating the end of her life because
Absolutely.
they were on call 24/7. So really picking that agent is just one step. The
Yeah.
second point is that that agent who will serve as your advocate needs to reach out to professionals who can help them be the best advocate they can be.
Yeah, yeah. And that is really, really important. And so, with that, I'm going to end this series of to our listeners and our audience. It's who will advocate for you? Um, that's the big $60,000 question. And I would say that, if you're a senior, an estate planning attorney or an elder law attorney is worth their weight 500% in gold. And so thank you, Andrea. And send our thank yous also to Steve for this season 1. Hopefully there'll be a season 2 sometime soon. And we're looking forward again to featuring you on Answers for Elders for the years to come.
Great. Thank you so much, Suzanne. And I look forward to working with you again in the future.
Yes. And for those of you that are interested, again, go to Waltar, WALTAR.com. And they are in Washington State. But even if you call and say, I'm looking for a good estate planning or an elder law attorney in my state, you guys have resources to find an equitable firm.
Absolutely. Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.